stream, and we stay in diplomacy. The Kremlin has not yet received a response to its proposal regarding the allocation of Russian President Vladimir Putin's frozen assets in the United States. The Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov confirmed that discussions are ongoing, with the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs collaborating with allies and partners on the issue. The proposal involves directing part of the assets to a Board of Peace, an initiative created by US President Donald Trump to address the root causes of the Middle East conflict. The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov also emphasized that the board should include Israel's participation in discussions about a two-state solution. Andrew Latham joins us once again. Some interesting statements coming out of the Kremlin there, Andrew. Of course, we have seen a peculiar proposal of using the frozen Russian assets to reconstruct Gaza. The Kremlin has floated that. And of course, a possible reintroduction of Putin back into the international stage after Donald Trump sent him an invitation to join the Board of Peace. What do you make of the Kremlin statements here?
Well, I think on the one hand, it's about diverting attention from the war in Ukraine. The last thing that the Kremlin really wants to see is those funds being directed towards rearming or reconstructing Ukraine. That's, I think, a red line for them. But to the extent that they're conceding that this is going to happen, those funds are going to be not just sequestered, but actually appropriated and deployed somewhere. They'd rather it be in some place like the Middle East, especially if, and this is the second move, they can reframe this as being about root causes and not simply about proximate causes, what actually triggered the conflict in the first place. This has been their narrative with respect to Ukraine all along. Structural threats posed by the expansion of NATO, etc. And in the Middle East, it's about structural threats to peace and stability posed by an aggressive Israel, by a lack of a Palestinian state, by American presence, diplomatic and military in the region. And so to the extent that this can be used to reframe both the Ukraine conflict and also the Middle East conflict in terms of root causes. And of course, from a Russian perspective, the root causes always are framed in ways that favor the Russians, that make them look innocent in all of this. And of course, if another advantage of all of this is that Putin can be restored to some kind of normalcy on the world stage, some kind of respectability on the world stage, then that's a win as well. So it looks like a rather crafty diplomatic move on the part of the Kremlin. It remains to be seen if they can follow through and if in fact any of this pays dividends.
Indeed. Dr. Andrew Latham, thank you so much for taking the time in joining us. It's always a great pleasure to get your input on these issues.